Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be a special episode of the Championship Roundup, guys. So in this video here today, we're going to be rounding up all the fixtures that did take place yesterday and all the games that did take place on New Year's Day as well. So in 2018, guys, wow, we really hit it off with a bang in the Championship. We had a whole lot of drama to go ahead and talk over, and it was just a mental few games we have to talk over in this one. So of course, I'm very interested to hear from you guys as to what do you make of your team's performance over the last few days. I'd be very interested to know, as we've got a lot of talking points to go ahead and talk over in this video here today. I'd also be interested to know what you think was the best goal scored and what was the best result in the past few days, and I'm excited to get into this one. Just before we do get into any of the fixtures, guys, I will include your comments on screen now, so if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct this weekend, I will include your comment on screen now. And fair play to everyone who did get a score prediction correct this week, because there are a lot of tough ones to predict in there. You know, we had a lot of high scoring games this weekend which were pretty hard to predict. But guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of these games. So our first game to go ahead and talk over was the first game taking place on New Year's Day between Bolton Wanderers and Hull City, and in the end it was a 1-0 home victory for Bolton, and this could be a massive result in their season, as this one saw them lifted out of the relegation zone, and this result now leaves Hull perilously close to the bottom three, as they're only out of it on goal difference at the moment. Goal difference is the only thing which separates Hull from Burton Albion at this point, and in this game it was Gary Medine who gave Bolton the lead with a fantastic free kick in the first half. And what a player Gary Medine's been for Bolton this season. You know, I've got to say, I underestimated him coming into this season. You know, I think stepping up to the Championship again, we've seen him, you know, throughout his career not really be very prolific in the Championship and normally struggle for goals. You know, we sort of saw that at the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, but in this Bolton team, something's clicked with him, and Bolton in this game, they really weren't too troubled by Hull in this one. You know, in the first half especially, I thought Hull were very poor. They did up the ante a little bit in the second half. I thought that Jared Bowen had a great chance to level it up for them, but missed it, and they did miss a couple of other really good opportunities. But fair play to Bolton, they grinded out this result, but Hull, it's not looking good for them at the moment. And our next game was a 1-1 draw between two of the promotion chasers this season. That finished level between Derby County and Sheffield United, and I gotta say, Derby will be probably very happy with a point out of this game, as their standards did seem to slip a little bit in this one. You know, they took the lead through a Mate Vidra penalty, but after that, going forward, they didn't look their usual selves for this one, really. You know, going forward, they couldn't, throughout the midfield as well, I felt like some of their passing moves just weren't coming out for this one, and Sheffield United did very well to limit that Derby side, which has absolutely teared apart teams so far this season. Sheffield United, of course, got back into the game in the second half with a nice headed goal from Leon Clark. Bit of poor defending, I thought, from Derby. You know, if there's one player you don't leave free in the box, it's Leon Clark with the form he's in at the moment. But I think that some of the link-up play between Clayton Donaldson and Leon Clark for Sheffield United was excellent in this game, and that's a partnership I'd like to see more of towards the latter end of this season. But Sheffield United had the chances to go on and win it, but a point, Derby will take that. And our next game saw Leeds United go up against Nottingham Forest, and this one actually finished as a goalless draw in the end. But this wasn't one of those goalless draws where there's not really that many chances in the game. Leeds more than had the chances to go ahead and win this game, and probably should have. You know, how Kemar Roof didn't score in this game, I have no idea. He had loads of chances in this one. He hit the crossbar in the second half when he was one-on-one with the keeper. In the first half, he had a double chance sort of where he hit one against Smith, then had an overhead kick in the 6-yard box which went over the crossbar. And overall, Leeds just had a bundle of chances in this one, but Forest were able to stay solid in this one, of course. This was Forest's first game without a manager after they had sacked Mark Warburton, and defensively did look a lot more solid than they have done in previous weeks, although I felt like Leeds should have taken more advantage with the chances they did have. But this was an important result for Nottingham Forest, I feel like, as they were on a bit of a losing streak going into this game, and managing to claim a clean sheet could be big for them going forward. And our next game saw Norwich go ahead and claim a 2-1 home victory over Millwall, and Norwich are just one of the most unpredictable sides to go ahead and predict this season in the Championship. I think that's fair to say. But in this one, in the first half, I didn't think Norwich were looking great, really. I thought that Millwall were looking quite solid defensively. Norwich had a couple of chances, but overall, Millwall did look quite comfortable. And then they managed to take the lead with a ridiculous volley. I think it was about a half volley from Morrison from about 30-35 yards out. It was a rocket into the back of the net. It really caught Angus Gunn off guard, and when Millwall got that goal, I thought that they made life hell for Norwich in the second half. Really looked to solidify that back four and really just not let Norwich in, but that wasn't the case. Millwall really let their standards slip in the second half and gave away some really cheap efforts to Norwich, which then allowed them to get back into the game. But in the second half, it had to be James Maddison who was the star of the show. It was Tom Tribal who got the first goal, and then Maddison wrapped it up for Norwich. But it is imperative that Norwich keep hold of him because he can be a game changer. And our next game saw my club Preston go up against Middlesbrough, and honestly, God, it's been a day since this game happened and I'm still angry about it. I can't believe we threw this one away, but in the end it did finish as a 3-2 victory for Middlesbrough, as it saw Tony Pulis go ahead and pick up his first victory as Middlesbrough manager. Now, why I'm so frustrated, basically Middlesbrough took the lead in this one, sort of against the run of play through a Daniel Ayala header, but in this game, this was arguably, in the first half, the best I've seen Preston play all season. Our midfield three of Josh Harrop, Ben Pearson and Daniel Johnson completely controlled the game and the tempo in this one, and we were creating chances at will. We managed to get 2 goals back through Callum Robinson and Jordan Hugill, but in that first half, we should have had more than the 2 goals that we eventually got, and that is what eventually went ahead and cost us, you know. Tom Barkhuizen had a great chance. He had a header inside the 6-yard box which hit the crossbar. Robinson had a couple of more chances which Darren Randolph managed to make some decent saves, and then in the second half I just wanted us to keep up that tempo, but we let our standards slip and the goals we gave away were so cheap, you know. If there's one thing that you do against a Tony Pulis side is you make sure you're marking your men when a ball's coming into the box. For God's sake, it's just basics we were giving away, and of course we let Middlesbrough back into the game. But in fairness to Middlesbrough, I felt like the changes that Pulis made in the second half did have quite an effect on us actually. I don't think we adapted to that as well as we could have, you know. When he brought on Gestead and Bamford, we couldn't deal with that different threat, you know. Sunderland wasn't offering much, but fair play to Pulis, he changed it up and that works for him. But Jesus, I'm angry. I'm still angry. And our next game saw QPR go ahead and claim a 2-1 home victory over Cardiff City. And Cardiff at this point really aren't in a good run of form, you know. It wasn't too long ago since they were really knocking on the door at Wolves at the top of the Championship, but since then they've really had a fall from grace. I'd be interested to hear from Cardiff fans as to why you think that has been the case in this one, you know. They took the lead through a penalty in this one in the second half, but in fairness to QPR, they were absolutely excellent in this one. In the second half especially, you know, they were closing Cardiff down, not letting them have time on the ball. I think that off the ball, QPR are a really good side, you know, but on the ball as well, they were using it to their advantage. And going forward, you know, Matt Smith and Paul Smythe were absolutely fantastic for this one. They were constantly getting in the faces of that Cardiff backline, and that eventually told for them. Cardiff would have been disappointed as they did have a goal ruled out late on for offside, which looked a bit dubious. It looked to hit a QPR player that played them through, so that meant they wouldn't have been offside. But nevertheless, QPR had a fantastic performance in this one, and Cardiff, things just aren't going their way at the moment. And our next game saw Burton Albion go ahead and claim a 3-0 away victory at Sheffield Wednesday. And Wednesday fans, what went wrong for you in this one? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking, but I'm not going to take anything away from Burton Albion in this one, you know. When Burton did take the lead, they actually missed a penalty in the first half as well, but when they did take the lead through Flanagan in the 37th minute, I thought that would be it for this game, you know. Burton would look to hold off, not really push too many men forward and just try and grind out that 1-0 victory, but they smelt the blood in this one. They saw that there could be more goals in this one, and with quite a depleted Sheffield Wednesday team in this one, Burton were just going at them, counter-attacking them at will, and the Sheffield Wednesday defending for this one was just something else, you know. The first goal, Flanagan literally waltzed through about 3 or 4 players without putting in the challenge. It was pathetic defending from Sheffield Wednesday, but Burton more than deserved the victory. Then the next game saw Barnsley finally go ahead and break this winless run that they've been under lately and get a 1-0 away victory at Sunderland. And with some of the other results at the bottom of the Championship, this result for Barnsley could be massive for them and just be a bit of a springboard for the rest of the season. But they more than deserve the 3 points in this one. Sunderland, I thought, were very poor actually in this one, and it was Pinnock who gave Barnsley the lead in the second half after some pretty shoddy defending from Sunderland actually to allow him to go ahead and get that header away. I'm not sure how you can leave a player unmarked like that, but Sunderland are just a team that I don't understand Sunderland, because one week they'll put in a really spirited performance and grind out a victory, and the next they just don't seem that bothered and seem they look quite off the pace in this one. Barnsley, to be fair to them, they probably should have had more than the 1 goal they went ahead and got in this one, but it was a credit to them that they kept that clean sheet in the end and did get the 3 points. points. And our last game to go ahead and talk over from the New Year's Day fixtures was Aston Villa, who went ahead and claimed a 5-0 victory over Bristol City. Aston Villa fans, I'm sure you guys will still be absolutely buzzing from this one, but Bristol City fans, what went wrong for you? Aston Villa in this one were just absolutely rampant going forward, and as soon as the first goal went in for Villa through Scott Hogan, you could just sense that there was going to be a lot more goals in this one. Bristol City's defenders just looked really timid in this one, and just they looked like they were scared to play. They were giving cheap passes away in the midfield, but that's just a credit to Aston Villa. They were playing at a much higher tempo in this one, and I just got that impression that Bruce allowed their forward and creative players, just let the shackles off them a little bit and allowed them to play with so much more freedom. Jack Grealish, I thought, in the number 10 role was absolutely unplayable in this one, and what a result it was for Villa. Fair play to you guys, this was incredible. So guys, we will now move on into yesterday's fixtures, and boy, we had another mad day of football yesterday. The first game we had to talk over was Fulham going ahead and beating Ipswich Town by 4-1. Now, Ipswich, they stood to their game plan pretty well in the first half, managed to nick a goal just before half-time through a nice set piece where Joe Garner managed to be the poacher inside the 6-yard box with a nice header, and then in the second half, wow, we saw Ipswich crumble apart. It was a red card to Spence, a really needless one as well after just 54 minutes, and after that, and Ipswich had gone down to 10 men, really then, it's all about game management and just seeing the game out really and making sure you're tight and not leaving any gaps, but boy, did Ipswich crumble after that. Fulham managed to score 4 goals in the space of 7 minutes in the second half, and you know, you don't want any attack running at you in the Championship. One of them is going to be Fulham's. They can be absolutely ruthless going forward, and Ryan Sessegnon and Kamara at the moment are in fine form for them, both of them grabbing 2 goals in this one. And what I'd be interested to know from Fulham fans is, do you still think you can make something out of this season, and do you think this current group of players is good enough to make the playoffs, or do you think you still need a few more additions? Our next game then saw Wolves go ahead and beat Brentford by 3-0 at home, and in the first half of this one, Wolves had quite a few chances, but they did squander quite a few in the first half, and I was starting to get that impression that maybe it wouldn't be Wolves' day. You know, Brentford in the first half were playing some decent football, and in fairness to Brentford, you know, they didn't go to Wolves and just park the bus like quite a few other Championship sides have done so far this season. You know, they went and had a go. Going forward, they just couldn't get it over the line, really. They didn't have that clinical nature about them that Wolves had in the second half, and boy did Wolves have it in the second half. It was Ruben Neves who gave the Wolves the lead in this one, and what a ridiculous free kick it was. An inch-perfect free kick from Ruben Neves, left the keeper with no chance, and then the floodgates started to open for Wolves, really. It was Barry Douglas who then managed to double their lead with a fantastic finish into the top corner, and then Jota who wrapped it up. So Wolves are now 12 points clear at the top of the Championship, and I mean, let's be real, no one's catching them. And our last game to go ahead and talk over was Birmingham, who managed to claim back-to-back victories, this time with a 2-0 away victory over Reading, and this has really piled the pressure on Reading manager Jaap Stam. After this game, I was looking over Twitter, and you know, my Twitter timeline was flooded with Reading fans who were saying Stam out, so I'm interested to hear from Reading fans as to what's your current opinion on Jaap Stam. But that's not taking anything away from Birmingham in this one. They stuck to their game plan magnificently in this one. They managed to take the lead in the first half through Magoma. A little bit of poor defending really from Reading. I thought they could have got the ball out earlier than they did, but a nice finish from him regardless. And then in the second half, Birmingham were counter-attacking fantastic. The second goal they scored, Boga went on a fantastic run past 3 or 4 players and then slotted it perfectly into the path of Sam Gallagher, who managed to wrap it up for them. And this result now means that Birmingham are off the bottom of the Championship, but Reading, problems are piling up for them. So guys, there were all the games that did take place over this New Year period. So first of all, my goal of this New Year period now, for me, it's between two. It has to be between Steve Morrison's wonder goal or Ruben Neves' free kick, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it to Ruben Neves. I mean, it was an important goal in that game, of course, which Wolves went ahead to win, and what an inch-perfect free kick it was. And then for my result of this New Year period, I'm going to have to give it to Aston Villa. There are quite a few contenders points for this one. I feel a bit bad for not giving it to Burton, but I am going to have to give it to Aston Villa for getting that 5-0 demolishing of Bristol City. So guys, there you have it. That will wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.